Welcome to the Own Your Choices, Own Your Life podcast. I know you are here wanting to change and rewrite your story. You are desiring to step into the impact that you know you are here to create. I am here to guide you with the proven tools and strategies used by myself and our speakers to support you in taking radical responsibility in your life and learning how to own your choices to change your story. My name is Marsha Van Weinsberg. I am a storytelling business coach, master NLP trainer, speaker, podcaster, and 7 times published author. My clients have found freedom and purpose from overcoming their shame stories and learning how to share them with the world. I am so grateful you are here. Let's get started. Welcome back to the show. Today, we are speaking with Jennifer McCutcheon. Jen is a recovery and trauma healing coach, spiritual wellness mentor, speaker, and founder of Enable No More and the Moms on a Mission movement. With over a decade of experience supporting families impacted by addiction and mental health challenges, Jen brings a compassionate, trauma-informed, and prevention-focused approach to healing and recovery. Jen's approach integrates subconscious mind reprogramming, nervous system regulation, evidence-based family recovery principles, and spiritual psychology to support lasting change at the root level. Her work helps individuals shift unconscious beliefs and patterns that keep them stuck, allowing peace, clarity, and self-leadership to emerge. In this episode, Jen and I share so much in common, and I love that our paths have crossed because these are the conversations that I wish I would have found over a decade ago. I'm so grateful for the work that she's doing. We have been sharing each other's message and supporting each other in this process, and it's such a beautiful thing because we are not alone in our stories. Welcome to the show today, Jen. I'm so thrilled to have you with me.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to be here.
So we've met virtually, but it's only been a few weeks, right? Is that correct?
I think it was just before the holidays, so yeah.
Okay. Okay. So time goes by really fast, but it's always a piece that I love in how we can cross paths with each other. And the work that you're doing in the world is something that I started doing probably a decade ago, but I was always looking for people like you to realize that I wasn't alone. So I'm just grateful our paths have crossed and that we are both out here doing this kind of work in the world. So I would love it if you would start with sharing a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Aw, thank you. Thank you for saying everything that you just said because I relate to that so much. Well, my journey started 11 years ago with my son's experiencing addiction. There was very little support for me. Like, there was nobody really to talk to.
Yeah.
I remember going to some parenting groups and it was very limited. So just to acknowledge that, because I feel like these conversations, there are so many people longing for these open conversations around mental health and addiction. So yeah, I totally feel that. So yeah, I mean, I'm so happy to be here, and it was an honor to connect with you right before the holidays. I have been on a journey for the last 25 years of loving my loved ones in addiction. I'll start with just my personal stuff because really that's where the business and my opportunity to support others came from. It was from my lived experience. And, starting at, I guess I was about 27 years old, my first husband started to struggle with mental health challenges and very quickly led into addiction. And it was really a time in my life when, 2 babies under 2, and it was like somebody flipped a switch and my whole life turned upside down. Everything that I thought was what, like, security and the way things were supposed to be, it was like everything changed like overnight. And it was a very, emotional time, but confusing time and dangerous time in my life and in my children's lives. And, the whole belief system, till death do us part, in sickness and in health, I really believed like my job and what I was supposed to do and what I wanted to do was to help my husband who was struggling severely. And I stayed and I tried, and I came to a point where I recognized this was not in my control. And it was actually taking such a toll on myself that it was putting my children in jeopardy because both parents were losing it. And I recognized for me at that time, I had to remove myself from the marriage. I had to find safety and security for myself. It was a time where I did have family involved, but again, the shame, the stigma, the fear of what people were gonna think, I did. I was really grateful because 'cause I've always been a seeker. I started to reach out for support, going to women's shelters and asking, "What am I gonna do? How am I gonna do this?" So, just wanna acknowledge that, like, there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened, and I finally got out. I, started to rebuild my life, but it took me some time because I was in severe depression, severe anxiety, PTSD, which I didn't recognize back then. This is all me like, realizing from where I am now, holy crap, what I actually went through. Because 'cause you're just in survival mode at that point. So, started to rebuild my life. A couple years later, remarried, and little did I know I remarried into a second relationship impacted by alcoholism and mental health. And it was like a slippery slope where, thought it was manageable, thought he was in control, but really it was like it eventually blew up. And it blew up at a time where my son began his journey with addiction at age 15. So I mean, for 25 years I've been in this. And at the breaking point of my journey was when it'd been years as my son had been, going into the deepest, darkest corners of addiction and me walking alongside of him when nobody else really was. It was like slowly, like the friends, the family, the people slipped away who were there initially, and I get it because it is not for the faint of heart, and it takes a lot of work. And it was the biggest struggle as a mother to try to understand, how am I supposed to help my son when everything I'm doing doesn't seem to be working and it's actually starting to kill me?
Yeah.
And it took me into some really difficult places where I really lost myself. I lost who I was. I lost my ability to be present for the other children, my other children in my life, my stepson and my daughter. And at the same time, my marriage was falling apart because of the pressures of my son's journey, but also my husband, who is in addiction as well. And it was just like this perfect storm. I look at it now as a perfect storm. It all was coming to a head. And it's hard for people to understand this, but it was really coming to a head for my highest good and the highest good of my entire family. There's a lot that has happened between then and now. And because I can step back and look at it and zoom out, I'm able to see the perfection in the pain and how it birthed this purpose, which led me through my own healing and recovery journey to recognize all the things that I did that were outside of our system, that were not the normal ways to heal and recover, because I tried those and they weren't working for me. So I started to look for other ways that weren't just out there. And it was like, energy healing and different lineages of yoga that I've trained and studied in, and mindfulness and meditation and subconscious reprogramming of the mind, and diving deep into not why is this happening to me, but what am I supposed to learn from all of this? And it led me to then recognizing I have some really beautiful tips and tools and strategies and lived experience piece that I understand what people are going through and I can help them. And that's when I birthed this Enable No More recovery and trauma healing and empowerment for people, not just in addiction, but mental health or challenges of any kind, where they get to take back control of their lives and live life on their terms.
Wow. Thank you for all of that. I just, there's so many pieces there that I resonate with. And it's so interesting. Like when you're in those journeys, it does feel like you're alone. I know that.
Mm.
And to hear another mother who was, over the last 10 years, different story, but navigating the same feelings, it's just that always that reminder that you might not know the people, but you're not alone. It just feels like it. And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to keep putting yourself out there to be able to connect to people. What were some of the points? I'm just curious, like, to be in a space where it's almost so difficult to watch what's happening and it hurts on a level you didn't know was possible. Where was a turning point for you that you went like, "I think I'm supposed to do something with this?" Because there had to be a moment where, and I've heard you say it, a moment where you're like, "Okay, why have I spent 25 years surrounded by addiction? Like, what's happening here?" Not fault, it's just awareness. I'm just curious. what was a turning point for you where you went, okay, how can I see myself in this journey and how can I see it differently?
Great question. And yeah, I talk about this a lot because, whether you want to call it rock bottom, whether you want to call it a breaking point, I call it a turning point, that pivotal moment. And there wasn't just one. And I always like to clarify that because there were many moments over periods of like the 25 years where there was like an activation. I like to say it was like an initiation and then an activation of something within me that started to that just slightly shifted where I started to see it through a different lens and a new perspective or, like an awakening, really. It's an awakening. And there were two main moments that really changed for me. And it was, again, just living day in and day out in crisis after crisis, and just barely keeping my head above water. And again, sitting and asking myself, like, why is this happening to me? Like, why? Why? Like, all of the people I love around me, like, my first husband, second husband, like, why me? Because it was, again, this victim. Why is this happening to me? And I remember sitting on my couch, and I remember, like, clear as day, bawling my eyes out, absolute puddle, like, drained, depleted, and it literally was like a wake up, like a light bulb went off, and I went, "You know what? I'm the common denominator." I have been the one that has been in every experience. Every experience. I've always been focusing on it's them, it's them, changing them, fixing them, getting them to do what I think they need to do, and then I'll be okay. And I was like, it was just like this, and I laugh about it because it was like such a moment of clarity. I was like, I am the common denominator. This is on me. It's not about them. It's about me.
I I'm glad you said that, and I do wanna say this because the first time I heard you say this, which was literally only this week because we were on another podcast together, and when I heard you say it, I was like, "That is a really powerful thing," because I know that when we take ownership in that space, it can feel like, "How am I like, what's wrong with me that I keep doing this?"
Yeah.
And you're not speaking from that lens, and I think it's really important to recognize that there just comes a point where it's like, "Okay, I'm a common denominator, so what am I doing in this situation? Or how am I not seeing something?" So, it's not fault or blame for, like that's not at all what it means, but it
No.
is such a level of awareness because that's where change happens.
Exactly. And this is where we get really trapped. I talk about this when I work with families, mothers, parents, anybody impacted in addiction, is the enmeshment, right? There's all this enmeshment that's happening. And it's like a big, like, tangled ball of yarn
Yes.
and trying to make sense out of it and like pull pieces out. But that's really what we have to do. We have to untangle ourselves from the mess that we've created from rolling around in everybody else's business
Yeah.
that was really never ours to be in to begin with. But as a parent, I know for myself as a minor or an emerging adult, it's like, how do you discern what's yours and what's not yours, and where to put the responsibility on a child that doesn't seem capable of managing? So it's messy, it's not easy, and there's not one answer, and there's not one way to go about it. Everybody's different, and that's like the individualization. But it's the recognizing that the compassionate side to be able to like take a breath and begin to recognize it's not about blame, it's not about shame, it's not about abandoning your loved one when you start to refocus on yourself. It's actually the most empowering thing you can do to help yourself. It's a ripple effect. It's this energetic shift that happens where you're no longer intermeshed with that other party, and you're able to take ownership of your life, take ownership of your choices, take ownership of your belief systems, take ownership of your boundaries, take back your power. It's a moment of reclamation, a power reclamation, which is your personal power to start to lead yourself and your family out of the mess.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I have a question for you, and I don't know. I want to ask from this lens. What is the differences, or is there any, when you're dealing with a spouse versus a child in this situation?
There's, to me personally, there is a huge difference. It's not that one is, uh, I'm not gonna say there's one that's easier, but I would say with my husband's, I was able to really easily step back, not easily, but easier
Easier.
to be able to step out and go, you know what? You're a grown man. You are a grown individual and this is not okay. And I love you and I'm going to support you, but no. Like it was so much easier for me to like put boundaries and barriers up in a sense. But when it comes to a child, especially when your child is stepping into this at 15
And
or like
minor.
a minor, where I mean, yeah, it's a different, you don't know how to do that. And because we're so programmed, like we are programmed to believe that a mother's responsibility, and we bring a child into the world. I brought my kids in the world to nurture them, to love them, to protect them, to guard them with all of my might. And yes, that's what we do. And then there's a point where we're supposed to let go a little bit and start to give them more rein and to help them and to empower them to make choices for themselves and to learn how to move through the difficult times and find confidence and trust. But when addiction comes into the mix, it is like it is a totally different ballgame. And all the things that we've been learned or taught to do don't work with addiction. They actually feed the cycles. So the more that we feel, no, it's my responsibility as a mother to protect and keep safe. I mean, the things that I've done to try to intervene in my son's journey, jeopardizing my own safety, my life at times. I thought I was doing what a good mother does. I believed it to my core. And if anybody challenged me on it, I'm like, you don't understand, right? Like, you don't get it. I have to do this. This is what I'm meant to do. And what I've had to learn through the years and what I teach families is actually I was interfering in the natural process that had to happen for all of us to be able to actually break free. I was perpetuating the cycles because of this belief system that was working against me, my son, and my entire family. So again, taking ownership of I don't blame myself for it. I did what I believed I was supposed to do at the time and who I was at the time. And now I know differently. And now that's where I can take that wisdom through a lot of pain and hardship and heartbreak to be able to help other people if they're willing to and open to hearing a new way, because you can't force anybody into recovery, into healing, into adopting a new perspective if they're not willing to.
Yeah, you nailed that last part. That's the piece that is really can be hard sometimes because you can watch the cycle over and over and over. And until they're ready to do something, it won't change. The name of this show is Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. It literally came from that turning point that you're describing is where that
Mm,
title came from.
yeah,
Because I realized that, if two people are owning something, then nobody owns it. And if nobody owns it, nothing changes. And
exactly.
that was for me the language that 9 years ago started to really shift my thinking of it. And so one of the things I used to say to myself, I couldn't count how many times an hour. It would be like, okay, I can feel myself getting frustrated and upset. I'm like, is that my choice? Nope, not my choice again. Not my choice again. Like it was wild to me how little of myself I thought about during that time. Right? I mean,
Mhm.
because people are talking
Yes.
about self-care, and I'm like, I was barely staying alive. There was no thinking of that. It was always about what do I do? And I don't think I really understood like what codependency was and enabling. It took me a long time to understand that. And I thought that wasn't me. Like that's not me. And then the more I started to read it, I'm like, oh crap, it is me. Like and I agree. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing that because I've always wondered from the lens, like, I've always felt that had it been a partner for me, then it would have been a very different situation versus what we were experiencing, right? That's the
Yeah, I think in partnership, it's still challenging because you
not
love that
easy.
person and you understand, like, I didn't understand that to the degree that I understand now, but there's pain, there's hurt, there's something more going on. But when you can't get, you know, when we all have autonomy. And this is the other part of me having to take ownership and responsibility is like I stayed in those relationships, both relationships longer than I now know I should have. But I did so again because I am a compassionate person. I want to help. But there's a fine line between a self-abandonment and self-rejection
Yeah.
and supporting and loving a loved one. And you said it, enabling and codependency. I've actually learned, there's I mean, the name of my company is Enable No
I
More.
know. I love the name. As soon as I heard the name, I was like, "Oh, she gets it." That's definitely yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I remember saying to a mentor when I was, like, creating this, coaching programs is like, "Well, I don't think you should use Enable No More," and I was like, "Why? Nobody's gonna understand it." I'm like, "Everybody's gonna understand it." And and now there is this backlash around using the terms enabling and codependency, like, it's stigmatizing if you say enabling or codependency, and I'm like, a lot of people have
Wow.
yes, I get a lot of feedback on social media around you can't use the term enabling or codependent because it's stigmatizing. It's like I'm like, "Well, I guess it depends on again, the perspective in which you look at it." I believe because I do believe I have struggled and experienced addiction in my life, not to substance, but to emotion, to love addiction. And
Mm.
addiction
Ooh.
and love addiction or emotional addiction to me is codependency and enabling because it's all addiction, all mental health. This is my perspective, my view stems from trauma, stems from unprocessed pain, stems from societal programming and cultural conditioning. And we are all impacted by degrees of mental health and addiction, every single one of us, and trauma. We're all walking with trauma, whether you think you are or you don't. Because, hey, my name's Jen. I used to believe I did not have trauma. And now I understand I experienced a lot of trauma.
Mhm.
And trauma is relative to each and every person. So when I look at enabling a codependency,
Mm.
and this is what I work with mothers and families is because we're codependents. Like there's this shame around it. And I'm an enabler. So I'm shame, bad, bad. It's like, no, 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 no. It is a survival response. This is a trauma response to help somebody else is handing our codependency is handing our power over to something outside of ourselves. Codependent on my husband, codependent on my son finding recovery for me to be okay, codependent on money for me. Like you can be codependent to so many things. It is an attempt. Addiction is the attempt to find temporary relief from pain or pleasure with negative consequences, and even with those negative consequences, you can't give up or stop. I could not stop helping my son even when I knew I shouldn't be doing what I was doing to try to help him. I couldn't stop. It wasn't because it's a moral failure. It wasn't because I was weak. It was because I was acting from a survival response to try to regulate my own central nervous system, to come back to a place of safety because I did not feel safe in any aspect of my life. So
Wow.
let's talk about the reality of codependency and enabling, not from a shame and blame perspective, but from a pure survival response.
Wow, thank you. Like that is just there's so much gold in what you're sharing there. And I know that that process of learning for yourself, the ripple also is that it helps you to deal with what you're experiencing, right? Like it's learning about ourselves, then that changes how we lead ourselves. And as I watch you sharing and speaking, like I just again, I 10 years ago, I wanted to be having these conversations, and there was literally nobody. And, like, now I hear it, and I can see it, and I'm so proud to be able to see you bring these conversations to life. And I also know you don't have to get into details, but I also know that not everybody agrees with our opinion. I have been shut down and shamed by family
Mhm.
for like, we don't talk about these things. What are you doing? And I do recognize that it's no wonder I trigger people because, I come from a generation where we don't speak or talk about that. And me, I'm like, oh no, give me a mic and let me do it loud. Like, I can see why I trigger people.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what's that process like for you when you meet that resistance?
It has been a process of learning how to navigate the naysayers or the haters out there that have their opinion, have their judgments. I used to be really hurt by comments. I mean, social media, it's like you put yourself out there and you're going to get all of the above.
Yeah.
And, I've learned to just recognize, and this comes from doing my own work, my own negative attack on myself, being
Yeah.
able to witness my own, negative self-talk and crucifixion and, all that stuff. It's like when I've learned to actually go, "Oh, Jen, that's silly. Look at the way you're talking to yourself." And then when somebody else directs that to me, I'm like, wow, it really gives me insight into where they are and their perspective on themselves and the world around them.
Yeah.
So that has helped me to be able to not take those comments personally from people I don't know or people that kind of are in my world that don't agree. But it is one of the hardest things that I've been through is having very, very, very close family members. One in particular who really took an attack approach on what I'm doing and the message that I'm sending. And it really rocked my world, to be honest with you, at the time, and it took me probably a couple months to move through the processing of what was said, the opinion, the judgments, and I actually, again, am grateful for the experience because it actually helped me to witness the trigger in myself, because I believe there's a treasure in every trigger, and that trigger at where I was being triggered, there was a little belief still that what that person was saying was true.
Yeah. Yep.
And when I started to look and dive deep into the programming, into my belief systems around it, I actually cleared myself of those limiting beliefs that were holding me back anyways. So I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
And it was incredibly difficult. And it also helped me to understand when we are, and I believe I'm a disruptor, as are you, we are cycle breakers. We are shifting out of the the programmings, the systems that are actually not serving, are actually not working. So we're the ones going first. We are the ones going first. And when you're the one going first, there's a lot of people sitting around watching, looking, silently judging. And then there are others that are going to come out and attack because we are rocking the foundation in which their whole belief systems are grounded in. And so if what I'm doing is actually good and okay, then it challenges what they're doing and actually challenging them to grow outside of the little box or comfort zone that they've placed themselves in. So I actually now look at it as "Oh, did I trigger you? Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome."
I thank you for sharing that because I think that's a piece of it. In this time, especially, people will say, I don't want to get attacked online. And it's always interesting because I'm like, I've had some pretty nasty attacks in person. And I don't know, better, worse, the same. But it's nothing affects us if there isn't a part of us that actually believes it to be true, right? Like that's the reason
Yeah,
about the trigger is that it has an effect on us because there's a part of us that believes it. And I love how you said that, like being able to just self-reflect and pull back in and recognize what is this? Like this trigger is a treasure. There's something here. If there was a
mhm.
part of me that didn't believe it at all, it would have no effect. I always love the example. I heard somebody share it that, if someone said to me, you look good with green hair, I'd be like, my hair's not green. I wouldn't even affect me because it's not real, like, it's not real. But if they made fun of how I looked today and I felt self-conscious about that, or it was something that was there that I believed to be true, then it would trigger me. And I
Right.
think that, I do think that triggers can be our treasures, and I think that they can expand us. And I think that there are times that we can also limit some of those triggers because they can stop us from using our own voice and showing up.
100%. And I think it's yeah, I agree with everything that you just said because the other piece of this and that in particular process with the family members, it really helped me again to recover my worth, to remember on a deeper level who I am
Yeah.
and recognize that it's not okay. There are times that it is not okay. I
Mm.
can handle a lot and I can also go absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And I choose who I surround myself with, who's in my world, who's not in my world. And one thing that I will say that this whole journey has taught me, and I mean this lovingly for myself and to anybody that's listening, I had to really discern, okay, where does their story end and my story begin? And that applies to anybody. But when
Mhm.
it comes to family, I feel like it's like I love my family. I have a huge family. But just because you're family doesn't give you full access to me or to have me for you to unload your shit onto me.
No.
And I've had to learn whether it's my children, whether it's a spouse, a partner, a friend, a family member, parents, whoever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you get to just say, do whatever you want to say or do. And my boundaries, I'm learning because I had zero boundaries. I didn't understand boundaries. I'm learning to set those boundaries. And I'm learning through all of the challenges to reclaim my worth because I really do believe recovery begins when we believe that we're worthy of being saved. And for a long time, I didn't believe I was worthy of a lot. And I'm worthy. And I am standing in my power. And I am no longer giving my power away to anybody unless they're there supporting me, loving me for who I am, accepting me, and honoring my journey. And I really feel that's a part that I want to maybe just make sure because just because people our family is our family doesn't mean that they can just take over and say whatever they want to say.
Mhm. The way you've just said that, it's so powerful. And it's interesting because, when you talk about the fact that, that personal power and the believing you're worthy enough in order to want more, in order to deserve more. It has only been in the last couple of months. I'm working with a client right now who is in addictions counseling. And he said that to me. And that it landed so differently. I've probably heard it before, but
Mm,
it landed differently. He said, can I give you some advice in the sense that it's not rock bottom that changes people? It's so actually exhausting for people to say to me, oh, that's not his rock bottom. When the rock bottom happens, it's just got to automatically happen. And I'm like, I don't think so. That's just not how it works.
yeah,
I didn't understand why, but he said that it's not rock bottom. It's when someone decides that they are worthy of more.
yeah.
That's when it changes. And so what you just shared, even from the lens of walking alongside somebody who is experiencing addiction and mental health is the fact that you also had to decide that you are worthy of more and worthy of growing and receiving more in your own life. So, isn't it interesting that that's kind of the lesson we're all learning the same lesson, even though we're walking on different sides of the experience?
100%. And I actually believe that that's what we're all here for. That's part of our soul's purpose is to remember our worth. It's showing up in different ways. Like for people, maybe it's a job loss, maybe it's a divorce, maybe it's an illness, right? Like so many people, everybody has a story.
Okay.
What's your story? Like to listeners, what are you going through? What are the challenges that are coming up for you? And this is where the switch for me was moving from disempowered to empowered. The processes that I've learned and the things that I teach, it's about empowering myself, not keeping myself limited, but remembering that I'm limitless. I am the expression of all that is. You know, the training that really, really catapulted my healing was a spiritual psychology. And it really is, it doesn't matter, it's not religion based. It's about remembering that we are it all. We are energetic beings. We are more than this human form. And we all I know I did. I just thought this is life. This is me, Jen McCutcheon. It's like, no, 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 no. I am so much more. I am the expansion of the universe and beyond. Like it's powerful when we start to recognize that we are powerful. Whether it's addiction, whether it's mental health, whether it's breakdown in relation, whatever you're going through, if you shift your perspective to one that empowers you, what does that look like? Wow.
It changes all things, right?
Yeah.
Focus, action, belief, thoughts, all of it. It's so wild when you really start to do this work and understand what it can change. And I know that all of this experience has also shifted in you to open you up to the work that you do today. So what is it
Mhm.
that you get to do today?
Mm. I get to work with individuals who have come either through some type of hardship, whether it's addiction, mental health, loving a family in mental health or addiction. I worked with mothers who have high needs children. And it's about helping them understand on a daily basis, working with them to take back their power, to remember their worth. to recognize that they are not the sum of what their circumstances is. They're so much more. And that we often get stuck on, what is happening to us right now instead of asking why, focusing more on, the why behind the what. So it's not like why me, but it's like why, getting curious, asking those deeper questions like, where did this come from, this belief, this tradition, this concept, whatever, and recognizing you're carrying forward with you generations of programming, conditioning, and trauma. So I work with individuals to help them understand that they're not powerless. Actually, everything that they want and need is already within them. It's about reclaiming power, restoring true connection to yourself, to your own beliefs, to your values, not what society has told you are what's important to you. This is where we get so out of alignment. So I bring people back into alignment through processes, specific frameworks that I use, helping them to understand that they're not what's happened to them. They get to create their own story and they get to take back their power and they get to become the leader, legacy level leaders for their families. Because just like me, my clients are cycle breakers, they're disruptors, they're taking lead to change the legacy for their family, breaking generational cycles 7 years back. And when we break a cycle, we are breaking it for 7 to 14 years forward and back. It's powerful. It's bigger than what every client that comes into me says. I had no idea, because they think they're coming in for their loved one. And then we start doing the work and it's actually not about your loved one. It's about you. And when you recognize that, the world is at your fingertips. Anything that you desire, it's already available to you. The peace, the joy, the expansion, maybe your own business, maybe whatever it is, you want to do something, it's already there for you. But you just have to give yourself permission. And the permission comes with saying yes to your own healing and recovery. And when you say yes, everything is supported from that moment forward. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. Doesn't mean your child or your loved one's going to get into recovery. It just means you're no longer part of the problem. You're a cycle breaker, disruptor, and you lead from example.
That's so beautiful. And I love how you just said it doesn't mean it's going to fix everything. Because I have had people say to me, as I'm sure you have, that at least it all worked out for you. And it's always interesting because I'm like, wow, when did I say that? Did I? Because I
Yeah.
don't think I did. And it's an assumption that how do you keep moving when you are still facing these challenges? And I just look at it, I mean, here's a prime example to me is the fact that I get to connect with new people all the time and our voices and our message keep amplifying and sharing that there's a way. There is a way. It's not perfect, it's not easy, but there's a way when you start to prioritize yourself through this process.
100%. And that's really all we have is to work on ourselves, because we have no control over anybody or anything else outside of ourselves. And when I really started to understand that, not just know it, because I was like, oh, I know. Like, there's so many cliche sayings that people say, right? Like, the only thing you have control over yourself. It's like you can say it, but if you're not embodying it, if you're not feeling it, if you're not living it, like I always say, be and live your truth. You have to live it. You can't just say it. I mean, I love affirmations, but affirmations can only take you so far. When you're saying it and feeling it in truth in your body, you're raising your frequency. This is energetics. You're raising this frequency, emitting this frequency, and that frequency is being received. When the universe is receiving that, God, source, spirit, whatever your higher power is, that is also redirecting back to you. It's a frequency. You're living in that frequency, which is creation. We're the cause or the effect of our life. And when we start living in truth, being our truth, reconnecting to our soul's true identity, not living from a false sense of self or a programmed trauma response, we start emitting a frequency and everybody around us sees it, feels it, knows it. They're like, wow, like, what are you doing? Our kids even recognize it. Mom, you're acting different. You're talking different. Like, people see it. You see it. When somebody walks in a room, you're like, wow, that person, that's a frequency. That's an energy.
Mm. I
That's
love
the
that.
power. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think that, and that is just showing others what is possible and that they can do the same too, no matter what their circumstances. What is next for you? Like, where's the trajectory taking you?
Amplification of this message, because I feel in my heart of hearts, this is my purpose and calling, that this is what I'm here for, is to, I really do believe families, our communities are the cornerstone of healing and recovery. We are witnessing the highest amount of addiction, mental health, suicide, homelessness. Like, it is everywhere, not just in my little corner of Ontario here. It's everywhere across our globe, really. And the missing piece of the puzzle is that the systems that we've been working in are not working. There are components of them that are, there are aspects, but for the most part, they're not working. So, how do we navigate? How do we help individuals? It's by helping them understand that they have the ability to shift and change through their own healing, through their own deeper work, through their own breaking of cycles, so that they can actually be the leaders through mirroring what love actually looks like, what healing and recovery and restoration looks like. We can't I always say recovery is like a rose. A rose only blooms when it's ready, not a moment sooner.
Oh,
So
I love that.
when we just show up in our own rose blooming, we get to show other people what's possible. So, speaking across this country, and I'm into the United States and the UK. It's like I want to spread this message in any way possible. So, speaking platforms where people who are ready to lead with change, who are already doing it in their own capacity, whether you're touched by addiction, whether you love somebody experiencing addiction, or whether you just want to lead the change because you're looking around, seeing what's happening, and you want to be part of the solution.
Mhm. Oh, wow, beautiful. I'm gonna keep cheering you on as you do that because I just know how important this message is, and I'm so grateful that our paths have connected. Where can people connect, follow you, learn more about you?
Yeah. So Instagram, I'm on Enable No More. My website is the same, enablenomore.ca. And yeah, definitely, I'd love to hear from anybody if you're struggling, if you're wanting to learn more. I have lots of different ways in which individuals can work with me, many different levels. I've got a membership community, Moms on a Mission, which is really just about community, because community is where we create unity and opportunity for growth. When we come together, no longer walking this and trying to navigate on our own. You don't have to do it on your own. We weren't meant to do it on our own. This is part of the cycle breaker process, is coming back and being vulnerable and coming into community, and having people there to support you and to support others. We all can lean on each other when we're going through the hard times. We don't have to do it alone. So yeah, lots of different ways for support, and I would love to connect with anybody who is making a new way.
I appreciate you doing this and I love you sharing this because as you said, with the numbers and with what we're seeing and what we're hearing, and they're so high right now. And we also know they are underreported. We know people are not sharing. We know families still are really not talking about it. I think it's just going to continue that we continue to stay loud and share this journey because I know there's far more people being impacted than what we even realize.
So, so, so true. And that's really what my mission is. I'm a mama on a mission, not just as a mother touched by addiction, but as an individual who has witnessed a lot of people hurting and suffering and being forgotten, being slipping through the cracks because of systems that are broken and not working. And community is where it's at. I'm hosting an event in Belleville, Ontario in a couple of weeks. And it is Real Lives Touched by Addiction, where we've got a podcast. Like, it's about how do we reach the masses so that they don't have to feel disempowered or shamed or blamed, but they can be part of creating a new narrative, a new paradigm around mental health and addiction, healing and recovery. We are all recovering from something. And I always say, if you open the book and take a look, you're going to, and you look at your lineage. Again, it's not about blame or shame. It's about understanding there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. There's actually nothing to fix.
Mhm.
It's just remembering who you are, that you are worthy, and the story, the journey that you've been on is here to serve you and the collective. Your story matters. You matter. Your voice matters. So come join the conversation, and let's all be part of this major, major power move of change.
Here for it. I'm here for it, and I'm,
Yes.
like, here to share it loudly. your podcast, the collective one that you run, Real Lives Touched by Addiction. I was just recently on that with you, and I love the variety of people that you have there at the same time. So you can see it from all sides, right? You can see it from the parent to the sibling to the parent who lost their child to I call him a child because he's not a child, but he's just so
Yeah.
young, is in recovery, like
Mhm.
seeing and hearing. So all the sides of it I think is beautiful because now it's just like it speaks to so many people. So I love that. I know that collectively that message is going to continue to go far. And I know that you and your mission is going to continue to go far as well too.
Thank you. Thank you. And I mean, that's the real reality. I look at my own family and see how my children were impacted from their father's addiction, from their brother's addiction, from my addiction. Like, we're all impacted. And the more that we can have open conversations and provide a safe, inclusive platform for people to feel seen, heard, and held, that their story matters, because that's the message we get as family members, that somehow it's not about us, it's about them. And that's actually what's perpetuating the cycles of addiction and feeding this for generations. It's like, no, I'm not being selfish about talking about my experience. This is my truth. And
Yeah.
the more that I can share it, and actually what I've learned is the more I share, everywhere I go, people are like, me too.
Hmm.
I know somebody, this is happening. It's like when we create a safe space where it's no longer shamed or stigmatized to say, I know somebody or I am experiencing addiction, mental health, we get to, again, create a new narrative around this. It's not, this is a spiritual emergency. It's a disconnection from truth. That's why we're having so many people impacted. And the more we can bring normalcy to this and stop isolating people, ostracizing people for having something that is actually calling them back to themselves. Our ancestors, our elders, when somebody in their community was struggling with what we call mental health addiction, they saw them as gifted, connected souls that were connecting to things larger than most of us can even see. So, I mean, how do we get back there where we can just love and hold people in those journeys back to themselves and the wisdom that comes from it? Sorry.
You don't have to apologize. You said something there that I don't think I've heard very much and I think is so freaking powerful. And I realize this is a blanket statement, but that so many people who do struggle with addiction, they're actually big feelers. They're huge feelers, and those feelings are scary. Like, it's like they actually are, they don't know what to do with those emotions. And sometimes it's like that is too much that they shut down. And I know
Yeah.
it's very easy from the outside to say, oh, well, that's a choice and that's what they do. And it's like, no, it's actually when you understand I knew from very early on that this was not normal. I
Hmm.
knew the behavior even at 13. I was like, this is not normal. This is not a phase. This is not a time. This is like, I had it. It felt good. I will do anything I can to have it again. It was addictive behaviors. And I know it kind of shut down, feelings. And I think what you just said there is really powerful. Maybe we could stop shaming them as a person and actually they have that's a big blanket, but they have very big feelings, very big emotions, and sometimes it can be very overwhelming.
Yeah. And I always say our loved ones are extraordinary people. They are extraordinary people. Like,
Yeah.
they're actually not broken. They're
No.
accessing a level of consciousness and an energetics. Like, we talk about being empathic. They're feeling more than
Yep.
what most people are feeling, and they don't know what to do with it. They have gifts that they don't know what to do with. Like, this is such a huge
It is
conversation,
a
and
huge
that's what's
conversation.
misunderstood. We've labeled them as they're
Yeah.
broken individuals. There's
Yeah.
something wrong with them when actually they're here to teach humanity something, but they're trying to figure out how to deal with it themselves and they don't know. So they look for something outside of themselves. And look, at addiction isn't just substance. Addiction, like, look around, everybody's addicted to something, whether it's our phones, whether it's work, whether it's food, whether it's gaming, gambling, sex. I mean, sexual addiction is one of the highest increased addictions with our youth. So why are we trying to escape?
Mhm.
Because there's something going on, and it's not knowing how to process our emotions, having things that we don't understand ourselves and not having an outlet to talk about them. So Real Lives Touched by Addiction, what you're doing is creating platforms, spaces where we can talk about the real shit. Even if people think I'm crazy at this point, I don't even care.
You're not. I love it.
Yeah.
I just say,
It's like,
I wish we didn't have to meet under these circumstances. I wish that, I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I
no,
really wouldn't because it is just, I mean, life is a personal development game, in my opinion. Walking alongside of addiction in order to survive, I mean, it is just, I feel like I've gone to school. It's a life school that
it's a
is,
masterclass,
it's a
masterclass of all master classes.
yeah, I'm getting a PhD right now.
PhD.
It's just like, it really is, but I'm so grateful that we have connected and that you're doing the work that you're doing. So I just wanna say, please, please, please keep going.
Thank you. Thank you. And right back at you. I'm honored, 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 and excited to have met you and to continue to have these beautiful conversations because they help me. Every single time I have this conversation, there's something that activates in me a deeper understanding, a deeper level of healing, deeper level of feeling understood by somebody else, which for so long I just longed for. And that's the power of these conversations. So continue your empowering work. And I look forward to more conversations with you.
Oh, we'll have
And your
more, I
listeners.
promise. I know we
Yeah.
will. I have one more question for
Yeah.
you, and it is, what lesson in life are you most grateful for?
Everything that got me to where I am today,
Mm,
even the hardest parts of it. Actually, mostly the hardest parts of it.
mhm.
I'm grateful for the journey.
Yeah, that's so impressive and so powerful. Honestly, it's a beautiful thing. I've asked that question for like every interview. It's been so consistent since I started. And I would say, like, with 99.9% consistency, it is almost always
Mm.
something that they learned on the journey of where it was, like, the hardest moments, and that's what keeps them going. So, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Own Your Choices, Own Your Life. If you love this episode, I invite you to tag me on social media with your takeaways or share it with a friend. Please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I will be forever grateful. Until next time, remember, when you own your choices, you truly own your life.